Welcome back. The next generation of the Defense Department's Cybersecurity Maturity Model certification is on the street. One of the goals the department has said it has for CMMC is to shrink the attack surface for cyber adversaries. Tom Guarente is Vice President of External and Government Affairs at Armis. Tom, welcome. Thanks for coming on the program. Connect for me concept that you and I talked about a moment ago called situational awareness with the work that agencies are doing to try to reduce or protect their attack surfaces.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, Francis. When you mention the attack surface, the dynamic and ever-growing attack surface that continues to challenge agencies and organizations includes things that it didn't include 5 or 10 years ago. IoT devices, OT devices, medical IoT devices, and now, of course, throw the cloud in there. So it's really important to understand not only what exists within your environment, but what's happening with all of those assets that are within your environment. What are the dependencies between those assets? Where do your vulnerabilities lie? As much information as you can gather and understand about this dynamic and growing environment, the better position you're in to really manage that attack surface and manage vulnerabilities that you may have.
Is it realistic for agencies to think that they can shrink their attack surfaces, or are the factors that are causing them to grow kind of beyond the control of the agencies if they want to leverage the technologies that you just described?
Yeah, so I think it's really all about having the right framework in place. If you have a framework in place where you know how to identify the dynamic growth of that attack surface, you really are managing it, and you are shrinking your scope of focus because you have measurables and you have a way of understanding if that's growing, where anomalies may be, and where vulnerabilities may lie.
That's one of the areas that a lot of CISOs and CIOs that I talk to find a lot of potential when they think about artificial intelligence. Is that something that you see also?
Absolutely. When you look at the amount of data that is generated through alerts and tracking assets that are out there, we're talking about billions and billions of pieces of information. No human can manually sort through that. So we hear a lot about the fears and the worries of AI. AI is being used today for good and can be used for good in the cybersecurity realm. If a machine learning and AI model can sort through information quickly and bring relevant and actionable information to security teams, the end result becomes a more efficient workflow and more effective security teams.
What do AI solutions do, though, that standard cyber automation tools didn't do?
Well, I think if you want to call them standard tools in the past, those standard tools now are incorporating AI technologies. So the complexities and the frequency by which attacks are coming today can be handled with these new models that are being developed in the AI space.
To address the things that we're talking about here, you've written about something called a whole-of-nation approach. What do you mean by that term, and who does what in that approach?
Sure. I think when we look at bad actors and nation states are certainly taking a whole-of-nation approach in the way they are attacking the U.S. I think the more collaboration that we see between federal agencies, the public and private sector, between states and local governments, the more best of breed that's coming to the table from each of those environments, the more dynamic we can be, the more we can stay ahead of the adversary and do some predictive analysis that can put organizations and agencies in a better position to handle this new attack surface.
Where do you see those solutions coming from now? You talk about a lot of levels of government, and there's the industry government dynamic at all of those levels as well. Where do you see the solutions and the success coming from?
Yeah, so if you look at the federal government, CISA has their JCDC program. You look at NIST. NIST has several collaborative programs. We're seeing collaboration in the last maybe 3 to 5 years that we haven't seen in the past. And that is bringing new thought forward. Now when we're seeing procurements go out there, information is being gathered from the private sector to make sure that agencies and the federal government is leading and not chasing. And that's an important part of this whole of nation, I even say whole of society approach to attacking this problem.
We have about 30 seconds left, Tom.
Sure.
How does one measure success? Is it just we don't get attacked, or are there other factors that people should be tracking to make sure that they're doing the right things?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think what's really important is to first ask the question, are we relying on a legacy model with legacy contracts and legacy technology, or are we looking at a new way of protecting our environments? It all starts there, and then to have a holistic approach to cybersecurity and embed it in programs early on, so it's not just a bolt-on solution.
Tom, it's great to have you on the program.
Thanks for having
your
me,
time
Francis.
today. You can read more about cybersecurity in the federal government on today's show page at fedgovtoday.com. Up next, the CIA's three-pronged approach to AI. FedGov Today with Francis Rose continues in a moment.